Hello, I'm Dr. Mikey Mewborn, and this is Church Ministry. Today we're looking at the topic, Administering Risk Management. This is a very important topic for us to look at under the auspice of church administration. When we think about churches, people want to be or to worship at places that are safe and secure. And so we need to provide that for them when they come. But also, there needs to be certain policies and procedures in place to make sure that we are executing in those areas very well. The other thing is we need to talk about insurance. And so, is the church insured well enough that if an accident does occur or something happens, say there's some kind of theft or the church is broken into, is there insurance to cover those types of things? Or maybe there is a form of embezzlement or something that's happening that's fraudulent within the church. Is there insurance that's going to cover that as well? And so we're going to talk about those things along with many others in this lesson today. It's good to be with you. Let's begin our lesson. Hello and welcome to Church Ministry. Today we're looking at the topic, Administering Risk Management. Our outline notes are from Robert Welch's book, Church Administration. It's good to be with you. Let's begin our study. I want to start by talking about safety. Churches, it's a very important thing for churches to be a safe place for worshipers and for people that are coming into the church to perform an activity or be a part of a worship service, or maybe it's to work in the offices on a weekly basis. Whatever that looks like for a church leadership or church laity, churches need to be a safe place for people to come. And that means that there must be code compliance. Whether you're in the city or in the county of an area, it's incorporated or unincorporated, there are codes that people within that town or city that they need to follow. And so if that's with the fire department or if that's with the police department, there are certain codes that are important for churches to follow. If you think about a fire department, fire extinguishers have to be working correctly. If you have sprinklers in your church, which I believe most churches have to have that, do the sprinklers work correctly? If you think about a smoke detector, are they working correctly? If there is some kind of fire alarm or alarm system, does it work correctly in alerting the fire department or the police department of an issue going on? So there's codes that people must be in compliance with, as well as other things such as extension cords in the church that can be a fire hazard for sure, or other things that might be like open wires or something like that. Whatever it might be, those are important. So people in the church must follow the guidelines that are within a city or within a county. So that's important. Also within that is OSHA, which is Occupational Safety and Health Administration. This organization is very important within churches, that people are coming in line and it's a safety place, and there's a lot of different ways of making sure that people are safe by following OSHA guidelines and recommendations and things like that. So that's very helpful when you're looking at a place of worship. Is it a safe place? Is it a place that people can come to and be protected, as well as they're not in any form of danger as they come? And so that's really important. Also, lighting is another thing. Is the parking lot lit up so much so that it's a safe place to be? It cuts down on accidents, or maybe kids are running around and parents are not watching them, and if somebody's backing out of a parking spot and they could run into a child if they can't see them because of a poorly lit parking lot. Or maybe a poorly lit staircase or something like that can cause an accident, somebody could fall. And so we need to be careful about lighting in certain areas as well. So that's important. And then responding to emergencies. One of the safety requirements of a lot of churches is that they have an ability to respond to emergencies. So maybe there's an in-house response team, but also what is the connection with those who are in the fire department or the police station? How quickly will they get there? And so there needs to be good policies and procedures to work with people that are in need or whatever that might be. So if it's someone that is a nurse, or there's a doctor that's within the church, it'd be good to know who that is so that they can respond and call on them. Or maybe it's someone who is in security and they can help with a security team or something like that. So these are wonderful things to have within a church, very important. Also, security is a big deal. If you think about lighting, that can be a security issue as well. Churches should have adequate lighting for people in the building as well as the parking lot or surrounding areas. Good lighting protects people from accidents and the potential for criminal activity. That's a very important thing when you're thinking about how secure is a church, how safe are the people. Lighting will help with those things. Alarm systems can help churches defend against criminal activity. The police are called immediately. The loud sirens might scare off criminals. These are wonderful things that most churches probably have or should have at least, and they will help in many different ways. And then cameras are a wonderful aspect of security as well. Placing cameras around and in the building will help catch offenders, criminals, in the act. Having cameras will deter people from committing a crime. Some churches have even just placed signage that say, this property is monitored by cameras or a camera system. It's very helpful, and it makes criminals that are coming in or people that are just coming in to either vandalize the property or cause some kind of harm to the property or maybe possibly break into the property. It'll deter them from doing that just by having a camera or signage in the front. So that's a good thing to have. Then also for security, use common sense. There's several things we can do for common sense, but here are a few of those things. Place metal-clad or solid doors on locations where security is an issue or alarm the doors. You've probably seen this before, but some doors that are not entry points or main entry points for a church, they won't even have a handle on the exterior of the church, but they'll have a way to get out. But if you push on that door or that door handle, a lot of times the alarm will go off and let people know there's somebody going out this door. And so they're used for emergency situations, but it's good to have doors that are secure and solid. Also, another common sense thing is to lock windows and doors. That's a big deal. Just making sure they're locked. It helps deter people. Then place valuable equipment out of sight. So if you have a really nice guitar or a really nice drum kit or a really nice sound system or TV, something that people can see, they might just come right in and see, hey, I can grab that and go. You might want to place those types of things out of sight so that people don't just come in and grab them and leave. And then never keep money on the premises for long periods of time. This is a big deal. If you think about collecting tithes into the church, it's important that those tithes do not stay in the church very long, or if they do stay for a while, that they're in a safe or something very secure so that people can't just get in there or tear it out, whatever it might be. And also so that people are not coming in to rob the church building or church personnel. So that's important to look at that as well. Also with security, establish key control. The church administrator should have a list of persons who have keys to the building as well as security codes for the church. That is very important that the administration of the church knows who has keys and who has security codes. In the case that a key holder leaves the church, he or she will be required to hand in their keys and have their security code disabled. That's also very important. Develop a sense of security. A security team should be positioned in places of greatest importance for leadership and protection. So whether this security team is a paid security team or a volunteer security team, it would be very wise for them to have a plan if something were to happen. So where are they stationed, and do they know what to do in the case of an emergency? If someone comes in, such as an active shooter, or if they see that the building is on fire, or if there's something that's going on that just is dangerous, in a dangerous situation, are they in the right position to let people know what to do? In the case of a fire, get out of the building. That is a must. In the case of an active shooter, get out of the building. Are they in the place where they can inform people to do that and do that quickly? All right, so that's important. And then church members should be informed of all church exits and what to do in emergencies. So if you think about when you go to church, do you know where all the exits are? Well, if you don't know where they are, where the exits are, then most of the people in the church probably don't know. So it's important for the church to be informed of where the exits are, how to get out of the church when needed. And so usually you just choose the exit that's closest to where you're seated. And so you find those, you get to there, and you get out of there as quickly as possible. And so that's what you're doing there. So develop a sense of security is another good thing to have. All right, the next thing I want to talk about is insurance. This is a biggie for churches because things happen, accidents happen, and if that takes place, what is being done about it? Liability. Constitution, bylaws, policies, and procedures should be carefully written to protect from liability issues. So if you have a good policy in place, that'll be helpful in protecting you from a lawsuit, protecting you from something that could come that of someone trying to cause harm to the church. If you're following the policy, you're going to be in fine standing or good standing usually. But if you venture off of that, there is a liability issue. So we need to be careful making sure that people are following those policies and procedures. Property. Churches need insurance for physical assets such as structures and equipment. So you might have equipment. It could be as simple as lawn equipment for cutting the grass. Or it could be something as important as speakers and a sound system and instruments and microphones and things like that. Things that are expensive that they will need to be insured. So whatever's in the building, it's important if those things are insured, because in the case of somebody coming in and stealing those things, or they're damaged in some way, do you have insurance that can replace those things? Fiduciary funds. This protects the church against any fraudulent activity. So if somebody is embezzling money from the church, or they're moving things around for their gain, whatever it might be, stealing from the church, this will protect against that, and you'll be able to get the money back that was stolen. Workers' compensation provides compensation for employees injured at or during a church activity. So these are helpful when you're thinking about insurance and what do you need. And then insurance administration. This is important as well. When you think about the tips that'll help you to have a good insurance plan in your church, you might want to consider these things. Consolidate insurance, bringing everything under an umbrella policy, bringing everything under a certain type of an insurance plan that would oversee all of it. That would be very helpful, because then you have more power or more money within a certain area, and that can be helpful if something happens, an accident or whatever might take place. You have that money that's available for you there. Also, educate, add-on, riders, things like that are so vital to the church. Insure to replace is another thing that's important, that you don't just get insurance, but you get insurance that can replace what you have at the newest level. Because if you try to just get money back for something that was lost, then what if the price of that item has gone way up? How can you replace it? Cover the mess with an umbrella policy. That's talking about number one as well, bringing it all over under something, under a certain policy. Improve your chances for a premium reduction. So what are you doing within the church that's helping the premium go down? Is there anything that you can do and maybe do better? One of the things that makes the premium spike is if you have sports on your church property, that can make the insurance go up. Also, if you have vehicles like vans, church vans, you have to be careful about that, and it's important to look into the policies and see which ones are the best for this, because some policies do not like 15-passenger vans. Some policies do not work well with a, let's say, 25-passenger van or a 32-passenger van. Whatever it might be, the church policies that you're looking at or you have at this time may not work well with those things, because it can be an issue for drivers who are out there who are not very experienced, yet they've been given the task of driving a group of middle schoolers to an event or to camp somewhere. and the liability issues there are very strong. So we need to do whatever we can to make sure the premium prices don't skyrocket, but how do we reduce those and keep those at a great place? And then control claims. What you have to be careful about doing is making sure that you don't make a claim or submit a claim every time something happens necessarily. It may not be beneficial to your church because your premiums will go way up. So you want to control the claims. So you're going to control how many you do, if you do many at all. Also, what you want to do with that is control how they're done. So you want to be careful in your wording and making sure, because when the insurance policy looks at that claim, they're going to either say, all right, here's the claim that's been presented, we'll give them their money, but what we're going to have to do is raise their premium as well. Now, that can work against you at certain times. So you got to be careful about how you do those claims and making sure everything's done in a correct manner, but also being a good steward of the money that you have within the church. All right. Okay, well, this has been Administering Risk Management. There's a lot of other topics that we can look at within this. You can look at certain things such as counseling and working with people in general. How does that play out? Are we being careful about who's being counseled? How are they being counseled? Are we protecting ourselves with the type of people or who we're actually meeting with? Is there somebody there that can be seen as a witness and whatever it might be, just to protect the church? So those things are important as well. So just want to touch on these things as we're talking about administering risk management. God bless you. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye. All right, that concludes our lesson today about administering risk management. I know this lesson is very important to everyone. Sometimes we don't even think about things until something bad happens. And then when that happens, you're in a heap of trouble if things or policies are not in place. And so this lesson will be one that you should not forget, but definitely look at and possibly implement if you're in some role of church administration at your church. It's good to be with you today. God bless you, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.